All right, everyone. Sorry for the technical difficulties. Good afternoon. Welcome, everyone, to NJSL Presents. My name is Luz Villarreal. I'm a reference librarian with the New Jersey State Library. I assist with programming here at the State Library. I'm very happy to introduce Dr. Rajiv Vyas. Dr. Vyas is board certified in psychiatry and addiction medicine. Before joining Capitol Health, Dr. Vyas was medical director of behavioral health at Aetna Better Health of New Jersey. Dr. Vyas has presented on numerous topics, including stress management, meditation, and enhancing brain health. Dr. Vyas is actively involved in volunteer activities, promoting wider access to health screening and health awareness for uninsured and underinsured individuals in Central New Jersey. Just a few housekeeping items before we start. Unfortunately, I do not have a slide up to show you, but a reminder that you can submit questions at any point during the presentation. You can do so using the Zoom's Q&A function at the bottom of the screen, or you can type your questions directly into the chat. I'll be sharing a document including a number of mental health resource links that has been provided by Dr. Vyas in the chat, and you can access that document there. When you exit the Zoom after the presentation, you'll be prompted to fill out a survey. Please do. We appreciate the feedback. I'm now going to briefly go over your available Zoom controls. This is, they should be more or less the same in Windows and Mac. If you're on a mobile device, it may look a little different, but everything will functionally be the same. In your left-hand corner, you have your audio settings in case you're using a headset or earbuds. You can adjust those settings there. If you're having technical issues at any point during the session, you can click the raise hand option in the center, and I or Andrew will direct message you and do our best to resolve your issue. On the other side, you have the Q&A and chat options. You can use either to submit questions. You can do so at any point during the presentation, as mentioned. That's it for housekeeping items. I'm very happy to turn it over to Dr. Vyas for a great session.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. Delighted to have been asked to give this presentation. Sorry for all the technical difficulties, and it's always interesting how when we have to give a presentation on stress, there is some stress that comes along with it in terms of these technical difficulties. So anyway, I did a little bit of deep breathing prior while we were doing this. So thank you again for all your patience and being with us on this afternoon. And we did lose a little bit of time, so I will go through the slide deck a little faster, but there won't be anything of importance that we won't cover. So let's get started. So today I'd like to share with you strategies to decrease stress in your life and improve your well-being. And I have no financial interest or affiliation concerning the material discussed in this presentation today. Okay, so this is your imaginary stress reduction toolbox. So as I go through the presentation, I think about the stress reduction strategies to put inside your toolbox so that when you're stressed, you can pull things out of this toolbox to restore balance in your life. You should put stress reduction strategies in the toolbox that you can use in the moments of acute stress, and you'll also want to add strategies in your toolbox that will reduce your general level of day-to-day stress and anxiety. Okay, so our learning objectives are to define stress and its effect on your physical and mental health, learn ways to decrease physical and mental stress, and understand the benefits of meditation and mindfulness. I'm part of Capitol Health Behavioral Health Specialists, and we have two offices, one in Bordentown and one in Newtown, Pennsylvania. Okay, we offer a number of different services, including medication management, TMS, individual therapy, marital therapy, group therapy, etc. And of course, these are offered both in person and telemedicine appointments. So I want you to think for a moment about what's stressing you in your life and how you're handling this stress and what you're hoping to learn today. So managing our stress is really a lifelong endeavor. It's an ongoing journey towards wellness, and your stresses and my stresses may be unique, but there are evidence-informed and evidence-based strategies that we can use to reduce stress and increase wellness. Some of the things that I'll be discussing today, you might be familiar with, but I hope that this presentation will spark a renewed energy and commitment to make the changes that you've been putting off. So while I'm the presenter and you're the participant, we're all in this journey together. So we're all beginners in this journey to manage stress. So pick some things out that resonate with you in this talk, and then begin to implement them as the new year comes. It's a terrific time to look at some of these things. So let's jump right into a stress reducing strategy. And what I want you to do is here, this is what we're going to do is take 5 deep abdominal breaths here. And the mind and body are often kind of disconnected, and the breath brings them back into connection. And so by deep breathing, we bring the connection between the body and the mind. So abdominal breathing is the way babies breathe. But we forget that as we go, as we age. And what we're going to do now is I want you to just sit comfortably, however you're sitting, in a chair, if that's what you're doing. Now, close your eyes if you're comfortable. You can keep them open if you're not comfortable with that. And now just slowly watch your abdomen rise with the inhalation and fall with the exhalation. So we're going to take deep breath in, abdomen rising, breathing out, abdomen falling. And we're going to do this another 3 or 4 times. And one more time. So you can, one of the things I've been trying to put into practice is to try to do this every hour or so. If you have one of those smart watches, you can certainly put that reminder in so that it can tell you to kind of breathe every hour or so. And you know, it's amazing. The other day when I was feeling stressed, I tried this. And my heart rate was elevated at that point. And as soon as I did this, it came back into normal. So it really is a very effective strategy that you can use within like 30 seconds to calm yourself down. So what is stress? Stress is really a bodily or mental tension that results from factors that tend to alter an existing equilibrium. That's the way Merriam-Webster defines it. And stress, the stress response system is really an intricate system between, but the major components impact both the nervous, the endocrine, and the immune systems. And what I want, imagine, just going to go back to this slide. Now imagine that you are going to work in the morning and you're stopped at a red light, and you're suddenly hit from behind by another car. And what you've experienced is just a disturbance in equilibrium. This is stress. And how you respond to this can make all the difference between the rest of your day, whether it's going to be a stressful day or a less stressful day. So you can get out of the car, maybe cursing and letting the other driver have a piece of your mind, Or you can take a few deep breaths like we just did, be thankful that no one was hurt, approach the other driver in a friendly manner, knowing how upset he must have been to have caused the accident. Now, the stress affects really all the major organs of the body, and it may aggravate or precipitate illness and diseases which may never have happened otherwise. So we can get stress-related conditions like anxiety, depression, heart disease, diabetes, sleep problems, etc. So our body is really very well suited to handling acute stress, but not so much chronic stress. And acute stress is, for example, being pulled over by a cop for speeding, for example, or maybe a project deadline that you have at work. Chronic stress may be, things such as financial difficulties, um, uh, a conflict in a relationship, maybe long-term unemployment, etc. So I want to give you an analogy between acute and chronic stress that I hope will drive home the point between the difference and how chronic stress is so harmful to us. So imagine you pour a bucket of water on the ground, and with time, that water will dry up. But imagine a steady trickle of water on the ground. Not only will the ground not dry up, but in time you'll have a veritable pond of water. So this is the analogy between acute stress and chronic stress, and why chronic stress can be so harmful to our bodies and our mental health. There's a number of signs of warning signs of excessive stress. Sometimes you may not be even aware of that, and somebody, a loved one, may point it out to you. You may be experiencing difficulty sleeping. Family members might say that you're irritable and quick to get angry, etc. Or you might have disturbing thoughts and images kind of come to you even during the day when you're working. It's like of things that you're worried about. And some people, unfortunately, turn to substances when they're stressed, and which aggravates the situation further. About 2/3 of visits to primary care are for stress-related conditions, and one of the things that is responsible for stress is the stress hormone cortisol, and this has been elevated levels of this has been associated with changes in terms of brain-related structures such as the hippocampus, which are associated with memory. Okay, so we're going to actually now, so we've just talked about stress in general, what stress is. Now we're going to be talking about ways to reduce stress. And I'm going to be talking about ways to reduce stress on a physical level and then on a mental level. So let's dive right into that. The American Academy of Sleep Medicine recommends that we get 7 or more hours of sleep. But, many of us pride ourselves in how little sleep we need to function, but this may be at the price of bringing on or worsening disease. And in fact, the American Heart Association has now added adequate sleep as one of the 8 essential ingredients of improved heart health. But 1 in 3 of us does not get enough sleep, and this can increase the risk of diabetes, stroke, heart disease, depression, etc. We're all kind of familiar with the impact of stress on the heart, but just to summarize, it can have an impact on your blood pressure and also some of the lipids, such as the LDL, which is a kind of bad cholesterol, etc. And these can result in things such as heart attacks and stroke. We used to think that the type A personality, the one that was really competitive and aggressive, had more heart-related conditions and heart attacks. But what we're finding is that there's another personality called a type D personality that is negative, irritable, that may actually be a personality more prone to having heart-related conditions. And for the good news for us is that mindfulness can help the type D personality becoming more accepting and being more calm in situations that they find stressful. Now, exercise is always on the top of everyone's list, is something that is helpful for us. And the reason is that it has so many benefits, from helping our immune system, to improving sleep, to reducing some of the bad cholesterol that's in your system, and even things such as improving insulin efficiency. Exercise is also an antidepressant, and in fact, many of the individuals that I see, for example, that come for depression with depression, I do ask them about whether they're exercising, because that's a natural way that they can improve their mood. And validated, there are studies that show that ratings of depression decrease with exercise. Interestingly, yoga also has been found to be as effective as exercise in improving both physical and mental health. And we believe this is because it has an impact on our parasympathetic nervous system, our rest and digest nervous system. And we'll talk about that briefly a little later on. Okay, let's talk about inflammation. We're hearing more and more about the negative impacts of chronic inflammation. And acute inflammation is not so bad. It can actually help us get rid of infection, but and that may be like, for example, when you get a cut, the body mobilizes resources to heal that cut. It becomes red, swollen, inflamed. But chronic inflammation is an entirely different animal. Just like we talked about acute stress and chronic stress, this is another tale of acute and chronic, and the chronic being more dangerous for us. Chronic inflammation causing things such as heart disease, diabetes, other itis conditions such as arthritis, colitis, etc. Now, of course, when you get poor diet, poor sleep, etc., that does causes more ongoing stress and chronic inflammation. Okay. Now, so again, going along with the physical things that we can do to help ourselves in terms of decreasing stress. One very important component is diet. Whether the diet is a traditional pro-inflammatory diet, which we tend to partake of more than the anti-inflammatory diet. And the anti-inflammatory diet may promote a healthier, more diverse gut microbiome. The microbiome is really the mix of microbes in your gut, and there's some evidence that individuals with a healthier microbiome from high fiber foods and probiotic foods such as yogurt may actually live longer. And so exercise actually promotes a healthier microbiome. And so our Western diet is really upside down, in the sense that the things that we're supposed to have the most of, which we consider the base of the pyramid, are what we have the least of. So we actually have more sweets, desserts, highly processed foods, sugary foods, etc., red meats, than we have whole grains and vegetables and fruits and things such as that. The Mediterranean diet tries to reverse that and flip the pyramid around to a more healthier mixture of food, in terms of having the base of the pyramid being more the whole grains and the vegetables, etc., and only the top of the smaller part of the pyramid being sweets and processed foods, etc. Okay. we have now we're going to go to talk about some strategies to reduce mental stress. These include such simple things that cost nothing to us, such as having an attitude of gratitude, having positive thinking, and we'll also talk about some of the kinds of things that the automatic negative thoughts that we have in just a minute. So these strategies can reduce the chance of depression and anxiety and improve our cardiovascular health. So I want to tell you just briefly about cognitive behavioral therapy, because this is one of the most utilized therapies for anxiety and depression. And some of you who've had some of these difficulties may have seen a therapist that might have used these use these strategies actually to help you. And so the basic premise of cognitive behavioral therapy is that our thoughts influence how we feel and how we behave. And that we are often caught in a cycle of negative automatic thoughts, and these occur very quickly and so in a manner that we're not even able to often recognize it unless we pay attention to it. So I teach people a simple technique to help them kind of monitor those negative automatic thoughts. And I call it, and the technique is called a catch it, check it, and change it technique. So let me give you a scenario. Let's say you're at work and your manager sends you an email saying that he wants to meet with you today. Now, this may cause immediately an emotion of feeling worried or anxious. I know I certainly would be feeling that, thinking, well, I hadn't planned to have any kind of meeting with the manager. There isn't any project. There aren't any other issues that I was aware of, etc. And suddenly I would become anxious. And so I might have an automatic thought such as, I bet I did something wrong. Or I might even go to an extreme and say something like, I hate this job. But and given those kinds of thoughts, it's natural for us to feel anxious and maybe even depressed and certainly worried. But a more rational response, if I were to step back and look at it, may be something like, gee, I might have done something wrong, but usually I'm able to patch things up and I'm overall doing a good job. And I might not jump to conclusions such as, I hate this job. I might say, oh, well, there are things I don't like about this job, but there are many things I do like. So when you catch that, those automatic thoughts, you check them. That means that you check whether they make sense and you change them to more rational responses. What you feel often changes from feeling anxious and worried to feeling maybe less so. Okay, I'm going to skip this particular slide in the interest of time. Okay, so I really like this particular slide. It says, when I is replaced with we, illness becomes wellness. Another thing that we can do mentally that is can really help us in terms of reducing our stress is to be a recipient of social support and to be a giver of social support. So research has shown that there are many physiological and mental health benefits to being supported, and there's various types of support, such as emotional support, informational support, tangible support, and belonging support. So let me give you an example of that very quickly. Say, a friend of yours, let's say, his name is John, comes to you and says to you, tells you, I just found out that I have cancer, and I went for a regular colonoscopy, and this is what, it seems like that's what I have, and that's what the doctor is telling me. And so you can offer emotional support to that individual by saying things such as, I'm very sorry to hear that, John. Is there something I can help you with? That's just emotional support. You might be able to give the John some valuable information and saying, such as, John, my wife actually was diagnosed with colon cancer, but she was lucky to have found a really good surgeon. If you want the contact information of that person, I can give it to you. Or you can offer tangible support, such as, you can say, if you need a ride to the doctor's appointment, I can give that, I can take you. Or belonging, social support, and might even just say to John, hey, if you want to take your mind off things a bit, if you want to go to a movie this weekend, I'd love to go with you, something like that. Okay, so we're going to be talking about the relaxation response and how to invoke the relaxation response, because these are important, because when we talk about things such as mindfulness and meditation, what they do is that they tend to invoke a relaxation response. And relaxation response really is an activation of our parasympathetic system. The stress can activate our sympathetic nervous system, our flight and flight system, which really increases our heart rate, our breathing, and muscle tension, etc. It's perfectly designed to respond to danger, but not so well suited for the chronic kind of stress that we experience. And so the relaxation response activates our parasympathetic system, the rest and digest system. And as I said, the meditation is one way to evoke the relaxation response. Some short-term benefits are easily experienced, even with just a few minutes of sitting meditation. But the greater benefit comes when we sit for 15 to 20 minutes, maybe once in the morning, once in the evening. Again, even a little is better than none. So even 5 minutes a day of sitting and just kind of engaging in a mindfulness or meditation exercise can be very helpful to you. There are definite changes in the brain related to meditation, and these have been found in terms of increasing some of the areas of the brain that involve with learning and memory and emotional regulation. Again, many benefits of meditation. Many of these you might be familiar with. So this slide says, today I will live in the moment, and then it says, unless the moment is unpleasant, in which case I will eat a cookie. Okay. So mindfulness really is awareness. It's the opposite of forgetfulness. And even when we don't make a time for sitting meditation, we can bring mindfulness awareness to our activities, such as mindfully driving to work, mindfully eating your lunch, mindfully listening to a coworker. And again, just like meditation, there's many benefits to mindfulness. Well, I want to share with you something that's important at this time of the year, and because as the gray days get shorter and darker, many people experience what they call the winter blues. And so I want to tell you the difference between that and what we call seasonal affective disorder, or winter or seasonal winter depression. So the winter blues are pretty common, and essentially people may feel less vibrant, more lethargic, gloomy, but still able to function well, go to work, and be able to do all the things that they generally do, but perhaps with less enthusiasm. But seasonal pattern depression or seasonal affective disorder is really a clinical condition. It's really no different than in severity than clinical depression. It's much less common than the winter blues, and maybe 1 to 3% of the population. And as I said, it's also known as seasonal affective disorder, and it comes and goes with the seasons, usually starting in the fall, early winter, late fall, early winter, and then going on into the spring and into the summer. And it's believed that the reason for this is that sunlight stimulates our brain, and that the lack of it causes an increase in melatonin and a reduction and a reduction in the serotonin, the feel-good chemical. And this imbalance is thought to be involved in seasonal affective disorder. So there's a number of symptoms of seasonal affective disorder, such as sleeping problems, feeling depressed, issues with your mood. Sometimes some people end up overeating or sleeping excessively when they have seasonal affective disorder. So the treatment for seasonal affective disorder, two of the main evidence-based treatments for seasonal affective disorder are antidepressant medication, the same kinds of medication you may use for any other kind of non-seasonal clinical depression. But another treatment that is helpful for seasonal affective disorder is bright light therapy. And you really want to check with your doctor first before you use bright light therapy. This usually is done with using a light box, which has about 10,000 lux of intensity of light, which is about 100 times brighter than indoor light. And you sit about a foot or so from the light, about 30 minutes each day when you wake up. And you don't look directly into light, but often to the side, doing some activities such as reading or maybe even watching TV, etc. But you should see improvement within 2 to 4 weeks, which is usually about the same length of time it takes for improvement in terms of antidepressant medication. And you continue the bright light therapy until spring or summer as the days get longer and brighter. There are some side effects potentially, and so one does need to check with a healthcare practitioner about it, especially if you have any eye conditions or sensitivity to skin sensitivity to light. And one has to be especially, I think, careful that that one doesn't have bipolar depression, because that kind of depression, there may be some issues in terms of the light therapy and causing maybe you to switch into a more of a manic episode. But again, a very effective and helpful treatment. Often the combination of both medication and light therapy can be especially helpful. So I want to talk a little bit about this time of the year and holiday stress. And this slide says, I think there must be something wrong with me. This is what Charlie Brown is saying to Linus. Christmas is coming, but I'm not happy. I don't feel the way I'm supposed to feel. So we experience holiday stress for us, each of us. The holiday stress the reasons for it may be unique. Some people may have family over, and there may be some conflict with some of the family members that may be coming over, and so that causes stress. There may be some people may be having some difficult issues in terms of their finances, and then the need to give gifts, and people feeling a need to give more gifts or expensive gifts can be a stress for them. There could be painful memories from the past of past holidays where there was conflict or there were arguments, etc. And reminders of people that have passed away, etc. And the holidays are always difficult for many of my patients. We traditionally find that this time of the year is especially difficult for people, and people are anxious to have an appointment afterwards, after the holidays. Okay. So, one of the things that I think is especially helpful is to be proactive about trying to reduce holiday stress. Thinking about what kinds of things cause stress in the past for you, what and how you maybe utilize some strategies to decrease that stress, or things that didn't work well and not doing those things. So, working proactively to reduce holiday stress, you can turn unhappy holidays to happy holidays. Okay, so what I want to do is that we're at about 12:53 here, and so I'm going to ask actually our panelists if at this point we want to go into the mindfulness meditation exercise. Take some question and answers. I'm happy to stay. I'm happy to stay for a longer period of time after the top of the hour for maybe another 10-15 minutes. I know that we robbed you of some time during the presentation. We did get through everything in the presentation that I really wanted to touch on, but in terms of this mindfulness meditation exercise, which takes about 7 to 10 minutes, I can certainly do that now, or we can take questions.
I think we could do it now, but if any one of our audience members has to leave the presentation, somebody mentioned that they were wondering if there was going to be a link to the presentation today. We are recording, and this will be available on our NGSL Presents and the New Jersey Public Library's YouTube page, hopefully by tomorrow. So yes, we'll send that out to all attendees. So yeah, I believe we have time to do the mindfulness meditation and then take a few questions.
Yeah, perfect. Actually, that'll work out well, because then if there are people that do have questions, they can stay longer if they like, and I'd be happy to stay on with them. So let's really dive into this mindfulness meditation exercise. And so I want you to just share with you that in this short meditation exercise, about 10 minutes or so, you'll experience periods of guidance as well as periods of silence. So now begin by sitting comfortably in your chair, if that's what you're seated in, with a relaxed but upright posture. If you're seated on the floor, you could certainly, again, keep a relaxed but upright posture. If you're sitting in a chair with then feet flat on the floor and your hands resting gently in your lap. Now notice the support of the chair on your back and the support of the floor beneath your feet. You may gently close your eyes if you prefer. You can keep your eyes half open with a soft downward gaze. Now begin to notice your breathing. Notice how your belly gently rises and falls with the breath. Or notice the air moving in and out of your nostrils. You may become aware of the sounds around you or notice bodily sensations. Following the breath brings about a natural relaxation response. Breathing in, I am calm. Breathing out, I relax. Much of our suffering is due to thinking about past regrets and future worries. When we breathe consciously, we stop the thinking. We become alive to the present moment, which is the only thing that exists. Thoughts come in and out of your awareness. This is natural. When you notice thoughts, let them float by like clouds in the sky and gently coax your mind back to your breathing. There's nothing you need to accomplish right now, but to simply observe your breath. Where is your mind right now? Bring it back to your breathing. Breathing in, I experience myself breathing in. Breathing out, I experience myself breathing out. Breathing in, I am calm. Breathing out, I relax. Become aware of the full extent of your inhalation and the full extent of your exhalation. Enjoy this peaceful solitude. You may now take 1 or 2 deep breaths if you like. As we bring an end to this meditation exercise, you may find yourself becoming aware of the sounds around you and sensations in your body. Now gently open your eyes if they were closed. Okay. So really mindfulness meditation is a practice of paying attention to the present moment with non-judgmental awareness. And so, it's one of the most common types of meditation practice today. And the one advantage is that it can be learned rather easily without formal teacher instruction. So it's really as simple as what you've experienced right now. So I want to just end by saying that just kind of summarize what we talked about today is that we define stress, both acute and chronic stress, its effect on both the physical and mental health, and strategies, but on a physical level and on a mental level to reduce stress. On physical strategies include, for example, adequate sleep, exercise, diet, yoga. Mental strategies include the power of positive thinking, of cognitive behavioral therapy, and monitoring our automatic negative thoughts. Social support, things such as the meditation that we just learned, mindfulness. We also talked about holiday stress and how we might be able to cope with that, and also seasonal affective disorder, or seasonal winter depression, and ways that we can combat that with either medication and or light therapy. So if there are, I'm going to ask the panelists if there are any questions. I'd be happy to answer them.
We have about 2 questions, and I think that's all we'll have time for. Let's see. One of the questions was, at what point is medication necessary, or when should you seek professional help?
That's an excellent question. And the medication is generally something that one can consider, or seeking mental professional. It may not be medication, but just the first thing is really to seek consultation with a mental health professional. And that the time to do that is when you're finding that you are, for example, whatever condition that you're experiencing, whether it's anxiety or depression or some other condition, is that it's impacting your day-to-day functioning. So if you're finding yourself not being able to function as well at work, or for example, at home, or taking care of family, if you find that that this is then preoccupying a great portion of your day, whatever condition you're experiencing, for example, sadness or unrelenting anxiety, etc., that's the time to seek help. And once you get a consultation, it could be from your primary care physician or practitioner, who may be able to give you some guidance as to whether it is something that requires seeing, a psychiatrist, or it may be something that the primary care practitioner might be able to help themselves with in terms of either medication. They may recommend therapy for you, and if they're recommending therapy, certainly seeing a therapist who treats the condition that you're experiencing would be a way to address it.
And our final question is, what advice do you have for testing for chronic stress levels involving cortisol levels, endocrine system, and other areas that are affected?
So in terms of the diagnosis of any of these mental health conditions almost always rely on an interview and the clinical presentation in terms of the symptoms that a person may be experiencing. There are very few things that we can do in terms of blood tests or other tests that are really going to give us the answer. But people who diagnose and treat mental illness are very familiar with how to help an individual and know what questions to ask. Sometimes I typically get some baseline lab work just to make sure that there isn't a medical condition that may actually be causing some of the symptoms that person is experiencing.
Thank you. Let's see. I think that's it for questions. Somebody did ask if you were willing to make the slides available after the session. I understand that you may not, since it's your presentation, but
I think I think there's going to be a recording of this. So I think that typically we don't make the slides available of the presentation. So I'm sorry about that, but the recording will be there and you can certainly follow along with that.
all right. Looks like that's all we've got for the day. Thank you for everyone who attended, and especially thanks to Dr. Vyas for giving a wonderful presentation / meditation session. Dr. Vyas, do you have any last minute remarks or information you'd like to provide?
Yes, there's some, I think that there were some resources that are going to be provided to individuals if they want to look up some in terms of mental health resources. And it's been a pleasure presenting to all of you today. And thank you for taking the time in the middle of your day to be here with me.
So I just resent the mental health resources that you mentioned in the chat. If people want to download that, we'll also make them available after the session in a follow-up email along with the recording. Yeah, thank you, Dr. Vyas. A reminder to our audience that you'll be prompted to fill out a survey after exiting out of Zoom. Please do fill out that survey. We do appreciate the feedback. And have a good afternoon, everyone. This concludes today's session.